Hello and welcome back to another video by the Rose System. I'm Sarah and today I am going to talk about our diagnosis story. This video is purely our own experience with the processes that we have gone through to date. If more stuff comes up in the future, we may make another video. A trigger warning for this video is talk of self-harm, suicidal ideation and medical professionals. Let's get into it. I became aware of my mental health journey in 2018. It was coming up to the end of session and I was failing my classes for the first time in my life. My mental health had been spiraling slowly over the course of a few months, then dropped dramatically and dangerously over a couple of days. I started self-harming and had dangerous suicidal ideation. I was terrified and opened up about these urges to my support people who immediately got me in with a doctor. The doctor gave me a bunch of screening quizzes to test how serious my mental health was. I don't really remember much about the series of doctor appointments that followed, but I do know that I was referred to a psychologist in our local area. The psychologist was good friends with some of my support people and was recommended by them. I got in with her in December of 2018. The psych was not a good fit for me. I was having nightmares where my support people were the antagonists. These nightmares were playing a huge part in my mental health, but I couldn't talk about them without feeling ashamed. I was talking about her friends doing horrendous things. After 3 sessions, I couldn't see her anymore. I felt like a victim, which I was not ready for, and I felt dismissed. I was still seeing the doctor regularly, who was unhappy that I couldn't stay in therapy. I was given access to MindSpot, which runs series of self-help type information for various mental health conditions. I did the PTSD course, which helped give me information about what was happening and helped me start the process of learning to cope and help myself. Not long after this, the suicidal ideation ended and the need to self-harm subsided. Since then, we have relapsed to self-harm on so many occasions. So that has come in and out of our story as various seasons have passed. I was in and out of doctor's appointments over the next year. My PTSD symptoms got worse and I started to experience really bad flashbacks that looked like seizures. These got to the point where I would spend hours unresponsive and shaking. It got to the point where a support person took me to the hospital. This resulted in me going on medication and actively searching for a psychologist again. I got in with 2 psychologists towards the end of 2019, either October or November, one of which is my current psychologist. This was a majorly quick turnaround, and I am so grateful to God for helping us get in so quickly. I am also grateful that he has provided a positive experience after the negative one that had put us off seeing a psychologist. This new psychologist had me fill out a number of forms and questionnaires, one of which screened for dissociative disorders. I didn't understand what dissociation was, so I googled it and came across DID and OSDD channels explaining what it was. I was concerned that I related to a large number of these videos. I was seeing my psych fortnightly and made a ton of progress, but the panic attacks were still a daily occurrence. She asked my doctor to get me in with a psychiatrist. I only had 3 sessions with him via Skype, where he saw me in his off hours. Through these sessions, he diagnosed me with PTSD and anxiety, and I went on a more restricted medication. After a little while, I became consciously aware of some of my alters. I didn't know what to do with this information. I brought up DID and OSDD and was told that it wasn't DID and that OSDD is a catch-all disorder. It was still very early days, and whilst I had awareness of some of the others, it wasn't distinctive. After some more time, I asked, what was I experiencing? And after some research, she came back with OSDD. I had a verbal, informal diagnosis that made sense and fit with my experiences. In May of 2022, I felt ready to be formally diagnosed. So I asked my psychologist about the process. For it to be super official, I would need to see a psychiatrist again, but I did not and do not have the funding for that. But my psych said that she could formally diagnose me. It would not hold weight in some areas of life, but it is what we were ready for and what we could get. There were a number of ways she could have gone about getting the necessary paperwork to diagnose us, but we decided on a structured interview that screens for a wide range of disorders, including anxiety disorders, depression, psychotic disorders, personality disorders, and dissociative disorders. After a really uncomfortable interview, she went away to review the results using our initial paperwork and this interview to diagnose us. On the 23rd of June 2022, we got the results back and are slowly coming to terms with them. The anxiety and PTSD were the two diagnoses that did not change when the psychiatrist screened us, but this time we were diagnosed with depression as well. I didn't think we had depression, so this was a huge shock for me. Apparently, it was super obvious to everyone in our life, but I was convinced I didn't have it. The other surprise diagnosis was DID instead of OSDD. In the current DSM-5, there is a grey section between DID and OSDD where the diagnosis can be argued either way. This comes from an and/or statement in the criteria for DID. It states recurrent gaps in the recall of everyday events, important personal information, and/or traumatic events that are inconsistent with ordinary forgetting. I don't have amnesia in everyday events, but I do experience amnesia when highly stressed as well as when I'm badly triggered. I also have amnesia surrounding the vast majority of our trauma. For this reason, our official paperwork says we have DID. Our psychologist believes that having this diagnosis will help open doors more easily than OSDD. We are very much aware that this isn't a psychiatrist diagnosis, but it is what is available to us at the moment. So what does this mean for our channel? Well, we'll continue to make videos about living as multiple and our faith, but instead of using one label, either DID or OSDD, we will use both with a slash between them. This reflects the fact that our diagnosis can be argued either way. And if we were to seek a psychiatrist diagnosis, we may be placed under either label. This is a good reminder that there is a spectrum to dissociation, and we fall in the grey zone between DID and OSDD. We hope that sharing our story will help you come to terms with yours. If our videos are helpful for you, please consider subscribing. It helps out our channel and helps us to reach more people. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please know you are loved by the incredible God of the universe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!